This meeting is being recorded. And share my screen. And make it cranked up. Okay, we are up to, I think 9B. November 12th, yes. Okay. So we get to a group of poets called the Metaphysical Poets. Let's see if it's in our notes. I'll look it up somewhere else. And I suppose they're kind of associated with Puritanism, maybe. Maybe not Puritan, but Protestantism. The metaphysical loosely translates to the spiritual. They have spiritual things going on, but also there's a style using certain, what they call conceits. That's ideas that show up a lot. All right, so let's look at John Donne. He's kind of the dean of the Metaphysical Poets. Ecstasy, valediction, death be not proud, and batter my heart. Oh, here we go. All right, and ecstasy for us usually means really excited, but the literal meaning of the word is stasis is the Greek word for standing. So ecstasy, ek is out of, so ecstasy is standing outside of yourself, over here. And here he's applying the metaphysical idea to his relationship with his girlfriend, because they are on a bank by a brook, lying together, and yet their souls are somehow intertwined. And you can see even with this, sex is very much on his mind. He's talking about a pillow on a bed, a pregnant bank. Let's check the meter of this. Where like a pillow on a bed, that's 8. A pregnant bank swelled up to rest, another 8. The violet's reclining head, 7, but you round up. So it's like 8, set we to one another's best. Okay, so mostly 8. Set we to one another's best. We're like a pillow on a bed. I guess that's iambic tetrameter for the most part. So they're lying by each other. He's thinking about being pregnant, her being pregnant. Set we to one another's best. Our hands were firmly cemented with a fast bomb. So he's got sweaty hands, which he finds somehow very romantic. Our eye beams twisted, and he did thread our eyes upon one double string. So they're looking at each other. Pictures in our eyes to get was all our propagation. So propagation is reproduction. And so far we haven't reproduced and made babies. We're just seeing our reflection in each other's eyes because we're so very close. All you can see is my computer in my eyes. It says a lot about our days that we've gotten to. I guess these glasses don't help. While our souls negotiate, our souls are between us. They're ecstasis. They're out of the body. And we're like statues, just lying there. Then eventually he gets to our bodies. Why do we forbear? What are we holding off for? Let's be having the sex. So yeah, Carpe Diem. It always comes back to that. Now the valediction forbidding mourning is valediction is a farewell speech. Hail and farewell, vale. But he's saying, don't be sad that I'm gone. I don't think he was dying. I think he was going on a trip. Yeah, he was leaving to visit his mother. He's trying to cheer his wife up. As virtuous men pass mildly away and whisper to their souls to go, while some of their friends, sad friends, do say the breath goes now, and some say no. So is he dead? Is he not? He's so virtuous that you can't even tell that he's dying. He's just so at peace with either being alive or being dead. All right, let's try this one out. As virtuous men pass mildly away, maybe 10, and whisper to their souls to go. That one's definitely 8. But some of their sad friends do say, 8, the breath goes now, and some say no. So mostly iambic tetrameter. So let us melt and make no noise, no tear floods, no sigh tempest moved, for proclamation of our joys, to tell the laity of our love. Sometimes I love you so much, it's all I can do to keep from hugging you, honey. So much for the guy that was eye-beaming her on the pregnant bank that day. He gets married, and then he's ready to roll on to go visit mom. Dull, sublimary lovers, love, whose soul is sense, cannot admit absence, because it doth remove those things which elemented it. So those who are under the moon, sublunary, they are attracted physically. I see you, I smell you, I touch you. And that's the core of my love. It's really more lust than anything. And when it's gone, you either lose track of them and move on to whoever is close by now, or you're so overwhelmed that you do something horrible to yourself. Think Romeo and Juliet, who couldn't live apart, and so they wound up dying. But we, by love, so much refined that ourselves know not what it is, enter assured of the mind, careless eyes, lips, and hands to miss. So we've got a marriage of the soul, honey, so it doesn't matter if I'm gone. Our two souls, therefore, which are one. We've become one flesh when we got married. It's an expansion like gold to airy thinness. So if you're talking about the gold foil you cover buildings with, naturally you don't want to waste gold, so you make it as thin as you possibly can. And our love is spread out like that. And though it in the center sit, yet when the other far doth run, it leans and hearkens after it and grows erect as that comes on. So he's talking about a compass. These that the further apart they are, the further they lean toward each other. And then as they come together, it gets a little taller. I think erect probably has a sexual meaning here too. He loves his sexual wordplay. Such wilt thou be to me, who must like the other foot obliquely run. So here's the compass, and she is the part that stays in the middle so that he can draw an accurate circle when he's out away from her. So she's his anchor. Okay. This is probably his most famous poem. I think it is a sonnet, right? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Death be not proud, though some have called thee. Death be not proud. Some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thou thinkst thou dost overthrow. Okay, mostly iambic pentameter. thee so throw me, A-B-B-A, A-B-B-A, again, a little unusual. And the other thing that's unusual about it is that he's not talking about love, he's talking about death. So they've been writing these sonnets at this point for over 100 years. And they're trying to experiment with it a little bit to see what else it can do besides just the standard sonnet sequence love poetry. Death, be not proud, for some have called thee mighty and dreadful. Oh, and some have called thee mighty and dreadful. That's called enjambment, where you flow one line right into the next. For thou art not so. For those whom thou thinkst thou didst overthrow, die not, poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me. So the people death thinks he's killing are not really dead. They just went to heaven. You can't kill me because I will just move from this body somewhere else. From rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be, much pleasure, then from thee much more must flow. So I like resting, I like sleeping. So how much better is death going to be? It's just an eternal peace. And soonest our best men with thee do go, rest their bones and souls delivery. A rest of their bones. So your body rests, your soul is delivered from the prison of the body. This is kind of typical image. Thou art slave. So what causes death? Fate, chance, kings, and desperate men. And dost with poison, war, and sickness dwell. And poppy or charms can make us sleep as well. And better than thy stroke, why swellest thou then? When short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die. So I will have eternal life, and death itself will be dead. So it's very Christian. This is probably more the kind of poem that gets him the term metaphysical than his love poetry. Now, Batter My Heart, we get the kind of strong imagery that the metaphysical poets like, the others even more so than him. Batter my heart, three-personed God, for you as yet but not breathe, shine, and seek to men. So God's being too nice to me and needing to kick my ass, or my heart, that I may rise and stand, o'erthrow me and bend your force to break, blow, burn, and make me new. I, like a usurped town, to another due, labor to admit you, but oh, to no end. So I'm trying to let you in, but there's something within me that's fighting, and I need you to fight that part for me. Reason is your viceroy in me, and vice is like vice president, second in command. The roy is the king, so the viceroy is prime minister kind of figure, and reason is supposed to govern me instead of in the name of God, but it's captived and proves weak or untrue. So our minds don't put up much of a defense against the wickedness and temptation that comes to us. Yet dearly I love you and would be loved fain, but am betrothed unto your enemy. Divorce me, unbreak or untie or break that knot again. Take me to you, imprison me. For I, except you enthrall me, shall never be free, nor ever chaste, except you ravish me. So this is the idea that God's got to kind of force him into it. Kind of a Calvinistic edge to that, I think. The idea that we can't respond to God unless he forces us to. Okay, this is George Herbert, not A. Bear. He becomes an Anglican priest. He's very mystical. He's more thoroughgoingly metaphysical, I think. The collar is not the collar the priest wears, it's the collar a donkey wears, I think. I struck the board and cried, no more, I will abroad. What, shall I ever sigh and pine? My lines in life are free, free as the road, loose as the wind, large as the store. So I'm getting ready to go. Why should I stay here? The road's out there, adventure. Shall I still be in suit? Here have I no harvest but a thorn? And of course, the thorn is unconsciously for the speaker, but kind of apparent to us, bringing him into line with the sufferings of Christ, who had a crown of thorns. What I have lost with cordial fruit, sure there was wine, Eucharist, he's very mystical. Before my sighs did dry it, and there was corn, the breath of life. And this isn't American maize. They called any kind of grain corn. And here he's talking about the Eucharist. Before my tears did drown it. Is the year only lost to me? Have I no bays to crown it, no flowers, nor garlands gay, all blasted, all wasted? Not so, my heart, but there is fruit. So there is fruit. Thou hast hands recovered all thy sigh-blown age on double pleasure. Leave thy cold dispute of what is fit and not. Forsake thy cage, thy ropes of sand, which pretty thoughts have made, and made to thee good cable to enforce and draw and be thy law. Okay, so anyway, he's ready to roll, he's upset, he doesn't like his life. But as I raved and grew more fierce and wild at every word, methought I heard one calling, child. And I replied, my Lord. So you see again the, I mean, it's not quite the forcefulness of Donne, but this idea that God has to intervene in order for us to respond. John Calvin was a theologian living in Geneva. He worked in French, but really popular in England and Scotland. The Presbyterian Church of Scotland was Calvinistic, as were a lot of the Puritans. So one thing he does is emblems, which is images, and you notice that his Easter wings look like, when you look at it from away, which you don't seem to be able to do, they look like butterfly wings. So this is your left wing, this is your right wing. And the longer lines, the better off he is. The shorter the lines, the worse off he is. Lord, who createst man in wealth and store, though foolishly he lost the same, decaying more and more till he became most poor. With thee, oh, let me rise as larks harmoniously and sing this day thy victories. Then shall the fall further the flight in me. So the fall is the fall of Adam and Eve, but it's going to work out even better for him because he'll have Jesus. My tender age and sorrow did begin. So I began with sin, just as Adam and Eve began with sin. And still with sickness and shame, thou didst so punish sin that I became most thin. Notice the most thin is the thinnest part of the poem. With thee, let me combine and fill thy victory. For if I imp my wing on thine, affliction shall advance the flight of me. So if you had a bird, you know, like a hawk you were training and it lost one of its important wing feathers, you could imp it back in. You could kind of sew it back in until, you know, weave it in with the other feathers until he grew a new one. It grew a new one. Okay.
By the way, I got here late. I just got
name
Royce Pellegrin.
Pellegrin. Anybody else show up? Okay, let's see what this one is. Who says that fictions only and false hair become a verse? Is there no become a verse? Is there in truth no beauty? Become a verse. Is there in truth no beauty? 11. Although I think there in truth, you might leave out the I. Is all good structure in a winding stair. Okay, so he's complaining that most poetry that he sees, the kids writing these days, are about love in some way, and false hair, wearing these wigs, who said that only fictions and false hair become a verse? Why do you only have to write about lying? Is there no beauty in truth? Yes, truth and beauty are one. Is all good structure in a winding stair? So he wants a nice straight staircase. May no lines pass except they do their duty, not to a true but a painted chair. So this is kind of Platonic, the idea of the reality is the heavenly version of a thing. The idea of the chair is the real chair. This physical chair we have in front of us is a copy of that eternal chair. And then if I paint a chair on the wall, make a painting of a chair and hang it on the wall, oh my goodness, we're so far away from reality at that point. So he wants to write love poems to God. Shepherds are honest people, let them sing, riddle who list for me and pull for prime. I envy no man's nightingale or spring, nor let them punish me with loaves of rhyme who plainly say, my God, my King. So don't say I'm not rhyming, because I am, because King obviously rhymes with spring and sing. All right, so he's going to write poetry to God. Although I will note Eric Cartman's dictum that a Christian song is just the same as a love song, except it's about Jesus. I'm not sure why this is here. Oh, here we go. So love, number 3, that is, this is the third poem of his that he entitled Love. Love bade me welcome, yet my soul drew back, guilty of dust and sin. But quick-eyed love, observing me grow slack from my first entrance in, drew nearer to me, sweetly questioning, do you lack anything, George? A guest, I answered, worthy to be here. So I'm not worthy to be here. Love said, you shall be he. So you're not worthy now, but you will be. The idea is not that God is going to ignore sin, God is going to actually remove it. I, the unkind, ungrateful, ah, my dear, I cannot look on thee. Love took my hand and smiling did reply, who made the eyes but I? Truth, Lord, but I have marred them. Let my shame go where it deserves, which is, of course, he deserves to go to hell. And know you not, says love, who bore the blame, my dear, then I will serve. So Jesus, of course, bore the blame. Again, and it's not that Catholics don't have that theology. This is just something that Protestants emphasize a lot. You must sit down, says love, and taste my meat. So I did sit and eat. And meat doesn't necessarily mean animal flesh. It could also mean the Eucharist. So he really likes the Eucharist. Okay, Marvell is kind of lumped in with these, but he's a little more worldly. Now this is a long Carpe Diem poem to his coy mistress. Now what does coy mean? It means she's not having sex with him. Had we but world enough in time, this coyness, lady, were no crime. So tempus fugit, it's not tempus, is forever, time goes by. We would sit down and think which way to walk and pass our long gloves day. Thou by the Indian Ganges side should rubies find. I by the tide of Humber would complain. I would love you 10 years before the flood, and you should, if you please, refuse till the conversion of the Jews. The idea that the Jews would be converted is something that's going to happen, I think, right before Jesus comes back at the end of time. And vegetables grow slowly compared to animals, or move slowly compared to animals. By Vegetable love should grow vaster than empires and more slow. And 100 years should go to praise thine eyes, and on thy forehead gaze, 200 to adore each breast, but 30,000 to the rest. An age at least to every part, the last age should show your heart. For lady, you deserve this state, nor would I love at lower rate. So we could take thousands of years, I could write dozens of poems, but at my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near. All right, so what is that? Time's winged chariot hurrying near. What's the Latin word for time? Are you not knowing, or are you just not saying? Or did everybody wander off to eat breakfast while I talk?
What's the question?
Oh yeah, what is the image, time's winged chariot hurrying near? That is a Latin term we've used a lot this quarter.
I forgot. This is almost on quiz 6, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's on a lot of the quizzes. It might be on your next quiz. Time, the Latin word for time, is tempus, where we get temporal and temporary and contemporary. And what does time do? It flies, right? A chariot with wings. At my back, I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near. So tempus fugit. He's back to the basics, right? And yonder, all before us lie deserts of vast eternity. Thy beauty shall no more be found, nor in thy marble vault shall sound like echoing song. Then worms shall try thy long preserved virginity, and your quaint honor turn to dust and into ashes. All my lust. The grave's a fine and private place, but none, I think, do there embrace. So all of those lines are memento mori. Remember, you shall die. Therefore, while the youthful hue sits on thy skin like morning dew, and while thy willing soul transpires at every pore with instant fires, now let us sport us while we may. Carpe diem. You can't think of a better example of putting those three together in the typical way. What is that Walter Raleigh poem we read a few weeks ago? Tempus fugit, memento mori. Therefore, we cannot carpe diem. They said we must. Like amorous birds of prey, rather at once our time devour than languish in his slow chopped power. So let's burn the time up. If we don't have eternity, let's go ahead and live while we're alive. Let us roll all our strength and all our sweetness up into one ball and tear our pleasures with strife through the iron gates of life. Thus, though we cannot make our sun stand still, yet we will make him run. So the sun may only give us a day, but we can use that day in a way that at least we'll know that we have lived. Okay, so the garden, here we go. It's a hortus poem. I believe, and that's the Latin word for garden. You go to a garden to meditate, to relax, not to be all hot and horny the way you were in that last poem. And I think you wrote some of these in Latin as well as in English. And then we get to the hortus mentis, the garden of the mind, which you get through meditating and thinking green thoughts in a green shade. No white, no red was ever seen, so amorous is this lovely green. So he's talking about Milady. She's, white-skinned, ruby red lips. But this garden, oh wow, this is some awesome garden because I'm kind of in touch with something beyond this world. Okay, it goes on for a while, but it's basically the same thing. Is this the green thought in the green shade? Yeah, I love that line. A green thought in a green shade. Okay, any questions about today's poems? I'm going to stop the recording. Did I record? Yes, I did. Now,